Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on the upcoming ITIL 4 overhaul. Now, the first major update since 2007 is coming this quarter to ITIL. That's the IT Infrastructure Library from AXELOS. Now, in this hour, we're going to be telling you what you need to know about this impending update, which is really more like an overhaul to ITIL. That's the popular framework of best practices for delivering IT services. I'm Dan Beavener. I'm Simplilearn's Director of Training Research and your moderator today, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to our esteemed guest, Manuel Lloyd. Manuel is a certified ITIL expert. He's a CIO, consultant, entrepreneur, as well as a computing platform inventor. He's also a process expert who specializes in IT governance, legislative compliance, operational efficiency, and cybersecurity. Manuel has more than 20 years of IT service and management industry experience, partnering with global leaders including GE, IBM, HP, and other businesses, including education and government entities. He's also a course advisor for Simplilearn, providing the thought leadership and business insights for the IT service and architecture training curriculum here. So once again, Manuel, it's great to have you here.
Well, thanks, Dan. It's great to be here.
To get this conversation started, here's a preview of what Manuel will be talking about today. So, Manuel, take it away.
Thanks, Dan. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. In North Carolina, the weather is cold one day and hot the next day. So if I cough, I apologize. The weather is really crazy here. Excuse me. There we go. So today's agenda, we're going to cover ITIL Today, version 3. And by the way, that word version is probably going to disappear. It's just going to be ITIL 4 and then the next iteration. So we're going to also talk about what's changing from ITIL version 3 to ITIL 4. We're going to talk about understanding the ITIL 4 journey and try to help you along the way. And we're going to also talk about a deep dive into ITIL 4 certification scheme. We'll do a deep dive, that is. And what's the best approach for you in particular? Because it just depends on what you're trying to do. And I'll get into the different schemes as we go. Of course, as Dan mentioned, we're going to have a Q&A session. My opening slide here talks about infrastructure. And infrastructure in itself is hardware, software, and facilities or buildings, whatever you want to call it. And many companies today, if you talk with your CFO, you talk with your financial person, they're trying to move away from CapEx or capital expenditures to OpEx or operational expenditures, which is namely cloud and as a service type of services. And ITIL will be at the forefront of both. However, it's going to be more OpEx than ever before. And continuing in that state, I cannot see data centers growing for your individual IT departments. I can see data centers growing as a service from like a Google. Recently, Google just made a purchase of a cloud-based services where you can migrate your cloud systems. You know, Dell and EMC. You know, you look at Amazon and Microsoft is moving into the magic quadrant up into the right below Amazon. So everyone's getting into that game because it's the future. You know, data lines are getting faster. I even have an invention that's working with DARPA about faster data lines for government security. Mobile technologies are becoming the primary device. You know, when you look at something, you're probably going to look at your mobile phone first. And cybersecurity is a key factor. And AXELOS is getting this thing right because we're talking about cybersecurity, but cyber resilience is more of what we're looking for amongst my peers, at least what we're talking about, because the resilience to changes, the resilience to all of these hacking events going on and things of that nature, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And just a little side note there, if you're looking at AXELOS for cyber resilience, they have a scheme called Resilia. You can take a look at that when you get a moment. So what does this mean for you ITIL professionals out there? Well, ITIL professionals need a continuous training and learning and upkeep of their ITIL certification scheme. And in the community itself, people are requiring that their framework of choice remain aligned with modernized technology, such as digital and AI. Or we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, And the first industrial revolution was in the 18th century, and we're in the fourth industrial revolution, which is digital, cyber, and physical, but all the lines are blurred. So the fourth industrial revolution is a little bit different. A lot of millennials understand it. You know, my wife and I, we have 8 children. They were born with iPhones. They don't even know what a rotary phone is, excuse me, or even a dial pad phone. They don't even know what the buttons feel like, because on these phones today, they're not even any buttons. You know, so I believe ITIL will be the framework of the future for all things digital. You know, you have the other frameworks, COVID, you have Lean, you have Agile, DevOps, and things of that nature. But I think ITIL is the leader in this area and will continue to be the leader. It's leading, and I'm excited about the ITIL 4 changes, because they're talking more about, you know, software as a service, cloud services, and things of that nature, zero clients, mobile devices. All of those things are moving forward and very, very fast into our future. Why? Is my question down here? Because ITIL has and will become the lead to act as our bodies. So, in other words, what I mean there is frameworks are built like bodies. They have a head, they have arms, they have legs, and things of that nature. And everything has to be autonomous. It has to work together, and it has to work as one. And I personally believe, in my years in the IT industry, that ITIL is that body of choice. So let's talk about ITIL version 3 today. Many of you probably already know that this kind of started off as a British standard. I want to say it was British 15,000, the 15,000 British standard. I forget what the exact number is. But in 1986, it got its birth around that time. And as you can see on this timeline here, it goes all the way up into version 3. And I think that is also called 2011. Some people call it, up until 2012, 2013. And here we are today in 2019, this is really starting in this year. There was some beta tests last quarter, and some people actually got certified in the foundation. But this year is going to be the year that if you don't have the ITIL up skills that you need, I would highly encourage you to look at the Simplilearn ITIL course, and I will be your course advisor. So if you ever have any questions, you can contact me. I'm very easy very easy to reach. You'll have that information in a moment here. As the saying goes, ITIL is a best practice, a set of best practice publications. Not really a standard; it's a guideline for IT service management. It was owned by the Cabinet Office, part of HM government. AXELOS had taken over at some point in time, and I got to tell you, I was prior to AXELOS and I was after AXELOS, and ever since AXELOS has taken over, it's been splendid. It's been superior. It's based on a service life cycle, of course. It consists of 5 life cycle stages: strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, and continual service improvement. Now, the continual service improvement is kind of something that ITIL just kind of took out of just total quality management in general. But using these same methodologies within an IT scheme, if you have worked in any kind of an IT department for any period of time, continual service improvement is something that senior leadership balks at because they want it done now. They want it done this quick. They want it done right away. And continuous service improvement is a process, and you have to go through those 7 steps or whatever steps that you go through for continuous service improvement. There are also a set of complementary IT publications. They're really great. You can get them online in PDF format or the books themselves. I prefer online because anytime there's a change, you can have it right away. So what's changing with ITIL 4? The new updated ITIL guidance will be called ITIL 4. We already know that. This name reflects, like I said earlier, the role ITIL 4 will play in supporting individuals and organizations to navigate what AXELOS is calling the 4th Industrial Revolution, but not just them. It's about AI. It's about IoT. It's about digital. It's about machine learning. So many things. And AXELOS, I don't know what they said, but I can imagine they sat down and said, hey, guys, we have to be able to keep up with modernized technology, with our framework, or else people are going to start looking in other places. And I got to tell you, I'm a big uh, supporter of the ITIL framework because of things like that. The leadership has taken it up upon themselves to make sure that it stays intact and in touch with what's going on. ITIL is looking to be more agile. You know, we're trying to get rid of waste. We're trying to, that's lean, but we're trying to be able to adopt the changes right away. I'll give you an acronym that I use for ITIL and for really any other thing. It's called FLASH. And if you're like me, I'll be 53 in July, but I'm a big comic book fan, right? So Flash is one of my favorite superheroes. And I come up with an acronym for that. It's fast, lean, agile, secure, and hassle-free. That's what you want in a framework that can be agile, that can be fast, that can look to the future, that can be secure, and that can be modernized. Organizations are looking to modernize, and in every company around the world, I would say, and I don't have any statistics on this, but I would say, in my experience, 90% of the business tools in any company are IT related. So, how do you manage these IT items, these configuration items, and things of that nature, without some kind of a framework that not only takes care of your legacy systems, but AXELOS has made it a point to update ITIL to ITIL 4 to be able to take care of modernized systems here and in the future. ITIL will evolve to provide an end-to-end IT/digital operating model covering the full delivery and sustaining tech-enabled products and services. I'm just reading what it says here, and guiding how IT interfaces with and even leads the wider business strategy. And I say I'm reading this, but I wrote this as well, so these are my notes. And the beauty behind ITIL is that it can work with any other framework. ITIL is not meant to replace everything else. It can work with COVID. It can work with Lean. It can work with Lean IT. It can work with Agile. It can work with just about any framework that's out there. And ITIL 4 will not be any different, because if they did do that, it will go against the principles of ITIL in itself. So ITIL is trying to be more agile, trying to be more lean, and AXELOS is trying to make sure that this happens. So yes, the answer is yes. You can use ITIL there is an interface between ITIL 4 and COVID. So let's take a deep dive into ITIL 4 certification scheme. This is the meat of the matter. So ITIL, as I kind of mentioned before, it's going to still retain much of the core elements of version 3, and much of the existence will be recognized in ITIL 4. So don't throw your ITIL 3 certifications in the trash. Don't throw your hopes in the trash. It's going to build, ITIL 4 is going to build on that. So the whole scheme looks like this, and we'll break it down in a minute. You have your foundation, and yes, you have to take a foundation course. I think Simplilearn will be offering that. Then there's two sides to it. There's the ITIL Managing Partner, or the MP, and then there's the ITIL Strategic Leader, SL. In the MP portion, you have a specialist. This is someone who create, deliver, and support in IT infrastructure. You have another specialist that drives stakeholder value and high-velocity IT. Then you have your ITIL strategist. At this, you're going to take the exam to begin your IT strategist career, where you direct, plan, and improve. And along that line, there's a separate certification. You're going to take your IT strategy and you're going to build upon it, where you direct, plan, and improve. And you're going to want to take your IT leader certification or course to become an IT leader for digital and IT strategy. Then, of course, you have your master. Notice you don't see expert up there, okay? But you have your master. And the beauty behind AXELOS is they're trying to make this simple enough for you to be able to integrate what you already have, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and move it into an ITIL 4 scheme. The foundation will be available on February the 28th, which is in a couple of days, this year. It's the entry-level certification offered for end learners, a general awareness of key components or elements and terminology used in ITIL 4. So you'll be able to speak the language and understand, hopefully, what's going on. The purpose of ITIL 4 Foundation is to introduce candidates to the modern and IT-enabled service management. And when they say modern, you're talking about these outsourced help desks, you're talking about managed service providers, you're talking about platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service. And most of those things are kind of going away, where there's just this big blob of storage for you to be able to put your VMs in, to put your databases into, and be able to kind of self-host. And that's another beautiful thing about ITIL 4. It's talking about some of these things that are modern now. ITIL 3 never even mentioned a managed service provider. They talked about service providers, internal and external service providers, but not in a managed service provider model. So the managing professional is the next level. It targets the practitioner working within technology and digital teams across businesses. I wrote a formula a long time ago that talks about the vertical and horizontal relationships in a business, where you have the business has a objective, but each department, accounting, finance and accounting, marketing, sales, operations, they all have their individual goals to meet, but they have to align with the business. And the ITIL 4 model, when you look into it deeper, it's looking to do that. So this is something that should excite you, hopefully, to get taking the foundation and moving into the managing professional. Because after achieving a managing professional designation, if you're interested, you can pursue the strategic leader stream, and you only need to complete the ITIL strategic leader module. Any questions on that before I move on? Okay, and we can come back to it as well. The next thing we'll talk about is the strategic leader role, which is going to recognize the value of ITIL in itself, not just for IT operations, but for all digitally enabled services, everything, AI, machine learning, all of the different code now that is being used to create automation. So all of those things are becoming becoming a strategic ITIL strategic leader is going to demonstrate that you have a clear understanding of how information technology is going to influence and direct business strategy. The biggest problem I've seen in large companies and small is that IT is looked at as a utility more so than a strategy. ITIL 4, if your company is adopting it, which I'm hoping that your company does, it's going to be a more strategic partner. In other words, IT should now have a seat at the table where it didn't before unless you had a CIO. And I've even seen some CIOs get kicked to the curb or sit at the kids table. I call that the CLO, Chief Laissez-faire Officer. They don't want to. They just want it done. They don't want to get involved. They don't want to hear about all the IT. The beauty behind ITIL, though, is it takes all of that IT language and speaks into business language. So that's the ITIL strategic leader. The ITIL leader digital and IT strategic leader digital and IT strategy module requires 3 years of managerial experience as a prerequisite, along with the completion of the ITIL 4 foundation. Now, this is good, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you can go down to a learning center, study a test, and pass it. And that's what most of us in the industry call a paper tiger. Well, ITIL is not interested in paper tigers. They want people who can apply the principles of ITIL within an organization to get the complete value out of ITIL. Now, when I say value, you're going to hear that a lot in the ITIL 4 model. You heard a lot in ITIL 3, version 3, but you're going to hear a lot in ITIL 4. And here's why. One concept that I've been telling my customers is more than just return on investment. You want that, but you want a return on value. So instead of ROI being the big speak, try to lean toward or just try to understand me when I say the ROV, or the return on value, because value is what is key, especially with information technology. ITIL 4 certification scheme. This is a quote from AXELOS. because I don't say whilst, whilst ITIL 4 retains many of the core elements of ITIL version 3, and much of the existing guidance will be recognized in parts of ITIL 4, there are no direct like-for-like modules between the two certification schemes. So, as you see the chart here, and the legend here, I'll go through each one of these real quick. The ITIL Managing Partner and ITIL Strategic Leader is a designation achieved once you've completed all relevant examinable modules in each stream. The fuchsia, whatever color that is, purple looking, examination modules toward ITIL Managing Professionals and ITIL Strategic Leader. And the navy blue there, examinable modules applicable to both ITIL Managing Professional and ITIL Strategic Leader. And the last one is transition model for ITIL version 3 ITIL experts who have 17 credits or more to get their Managing Professional designation. Now, you notice I said that ITIL experts get their Managing Professional designation, not their master. You still have to take exams for that, and you still have to have some other requirements in the industry as well. Let's understand the ITIL journey, if we will. If you're at ITIL Foundation 3 now, you take the ITIL 4 Foundation course, and then you choose your path, or you choose your future. So you can take ITIL version 3 Intermediate Practitioner, or if you're there now, you have 3 or 4 credits. There's 2 options. The first option is the ITIL 4 Foundation plus 1 specialist, strategist, or leader. Then you have option 2, which is 17 credits from ITIL version 3 to take ITIL 4 MP, or Managing Professional Transition Module. We got that, and I know there are probably a lot of questions on this part here. We had a lot of people register for this, over 200 or 300, I think. So I know this is really important. So ITIL version 3 Intermediate Practitioner, if you're there with 6 or more credits beyond Foundation, it is in your best interest, in my opinion, to collect 17 total version 3 credits to prepare for ITIL 4 Managing Professional. And that's my opinion. You can do what you want to, but I think that's in your best interest. ITIL version 3 Expert, don't panic. You can still take the ITIL 4 transition model as soon as it's released. Once ITIL 4 MP is achieved, you can, because you still have to go through that. Excuse me. But once that is achieved, you can pursue the ITIL 4 Strategic Leader and only need to take the ITIL 4 Strategic Leader Digital and Strategy module. After completing ITIL 4 Managing Professional and Strategic Leader, you can pursue Master afterwards. And ITIL 4 Master release date will be announced at a later date. We don't know when that is, but it will be released. But it'll take you some time to get to this point anyway. And by that time, it'll be released. And I think it'll happen this year. Stay in touch with us at Simplilearn and myself, and we'll be able to let you know. What's the best approach for ITIL Foundation level practitioners? I wish I could see a show of hands of how many people are ITIL Foundation. If you're taking the Foundation course for version 3, I recommend you take the ITIL 4 Foundation in order to be able to transition to the new certification scheme. Don't try to hop. You want to absorb everything you can from the very beginning. This is I think it's February the 28th. A couple of days. ITIL 4 Foundation is scheduled to be released. So you want to sign up with a company you want to sign up with Simplilearn to go ahead and take that learning so you get your ITIL 4 course Foundation. The best approach for the intermediate practitioners of version 3. If you hold a low number of credits beyond Foundation, there's 2 options, like I said before. Option 1, where you're going to take the Foundation and another module in your preferred area of interest, becoming either ITIL strategist or specialist or leader. Option 2, achieve 17 credits from ITIL version 3 to become eligible to take ITIL Managing Professional Transition. And the examinable module for ITIL Managing Professional and the ITIL Strategy Leader, Strategic Leader, are going to be available in H2 2019. So let's talk about what Simplilearn has to offer in this area. Simplilearn, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here anywhere, Dan, but Simplilearn will be launching ITIL 4 Foundation on February the 16th, and the self-paced will be available from February 28th, 2019. So go ahead and sign up for that. The Simplilearn ITIL Foundation course will be available as both self-paced and online classroom instruction. You can pre-book the exam vouchers from February 4th. However, you can take the exams from February 28th and onwards. And complimentary access to ITIL version 3 Foundation is self-paced.
So I just want to wrap things up here and say thanks again to Manuel for joining us today. So if you have any further questions that didn't get addressed during today's presentation, please feel free to tweet us at Simplilearn, and we'll get back to you. And Manuel, do you have any contact information you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, sure. A bunch of people already hit me up on LinkedIn, so that's good. But at MWL Consulting on Twitter, and Manuel W. Lloyd on LinkedIn. But I got to tell you, it would do my heart so good if you took all your courses, especially for ITIL, at Simplilearn, so I can stay in touch with you and be this person you can touch and talk to when you're going through your journey. And I want to be a part of that with you. And Simplilearn wants to be a part of that with you. So please, only Simplilearn.
Thanks, Manuel. And that's one of the great advantages of this is that when you're training with Simplilearn, you know that there are real experts behind what you're learning, and not just someone who conglomerated a bunch of information for you to learn from. These are real people waiting to help you 24 hours a day. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and thank you especially, Manuel. Thanks again for joining us.